Hi guys, Lindsay here with Storybook Family Farm. So I don't really want to throw names under the bus or anything of the sort like this, but I kind of have a really big problem with a lot of like the bigger name homesteading YouTube channels and the almost like homesteading celebrities and things of that nature, because I think that as a new person coming into this lifestyle, it can be very daunting, because a lot of those bigger homestead channels, they don't share the realities of it. They say that they do. They pretend that they do. They share what part of it is that they're doing and all that stuff. They're sharing a snippet of their life, but they're not actually discussing how truly overwhelming this lifestyle can be. And I think that when people are just starting off into this, they get blindsided by it. They get excited by all of the things and how exciting it is and how glorious it is and how each little step is actually really easy with homesteading. But once you combine all of them up together, it can be very, very easy to get overwhelmed and burnt out and to actually turn out to hate this lifestyle because it is a lot of work. And if you're not mentally prepared for it, it's very easy to dive in too fast and get very overwhelmed. So, a little bit of backstory. I have been homesteading now with my wife for about 5 years. Prior to that, we gardened and dabbled into different things, learned different skill sets and stuff. But we've only been seriously considering ourselves like homesteaders for the last like 5 years or so. Um, and we used to live in town. We used to have a really big garden in town. We hid chickens and rabbits in our garage because we weren't, due to the municipality, we weren't allowed to have them in town. So we are no strangers to doing a lot of different things at one time. Um, but I found myself this morning actually getting woken up in the middle of the night because of just feeling so incredibly overwhelmed and stressed out by how much there was for me to do. Even though we've been at this lifestyle for a while now, we kind of have it down pat. Now we have, dairy goats, we have chickens and turkeys and ducks and geese and rabbits and you name it, we got it pretty much, except for cows, pigs, and sheep. And I find myself getting very overwhelmed from time to time. Like this morning, I actually woke up in the wee hours of the morning due to having like a massive panic attack of feeling so overwhelmed by how many things still need done. Because there's this, as a gardener, there's this internal clock within you that goes, oh man, like mid-October, I live in Ohio, so mid-October is usually when gardening season is kind of dwindling down for a lot of stuff that's not cold hardy. You go, oh man, mid-October, that's going to be here before you know it. We heat with wood, so you're like, oh man, I got to hurry up and get all this firewood taken care of. I got to get everything cut. I got to get everything split. I got to get everything stacked and put away. And I got to. And it becomes really intense, really fast, and then you got to think about, growing things in succession because we only have 2 acres. So to grow a lot of produce, you kind of got to have things started and ready to plug back into the garden and stuff. And same with raising animals for meat on small acreage. You have to basically stick with smaller animals and have a bigger regenerative I don't want to say reflowing, but I can't think of a better word for that, but a revolving door essentially of ducklings that are in the incubator, out of the incubator, in the freezer, out of the freezer, that sort of a thing, so that way you have a good healthy source of meat that is not going to break the bank. You got to have all these systems, like all these gears moving and spinning at the same time, that it becomes extremely overwhelming, and it feels like you've created this rat race that you can't keep up with, even though you're the master of it, you're the boss, you're your own boss. For me, I only work at our homestead. Like, thankfully, we're in a situation where my wife is able to work full time off of the farm. So then that way she can support everything that we're doing, support the entire household bills, and I focus on keeping everything going here. And if you get into homesteading pretty far, it becomes inevitable that somebody's got to stay home, or both people work part time or something. Something has to give. There's no way, like we've talked about it a lot, there's no way that the two of us could handle working full time and also do this at the capacity that we're doing this at. So in a sense, we've been very blessed, but it is very overwhelming to essentially be homesteading alone. But some of the tips that I have for feeling that level of overwhelm is, for one, know that you're not alone. That even on camera, even though the homesteaders that you're watching on TV, they're all like about doing all this stuff, they are feeling the same level of overwhelm that you are. They're not showing it, but I guarantee you that they have rotting produce on their counters too. That they have things rotting in their fridge, that they have things going bad, projects that they've forgotten about. They have a junk pile somewhere off camera. They have clutter places. I can't even tell you the last time I like deep cleaned the house here because, well, for one, we're also living in a fixer-upper, so when it's raining outside, I work on projects inside, so that's kind of an active construction zone. But beyond that, like, I can't even tell you the last time I like deep cleaned anything because it's planting season, it's gardening season, it's work on projects outside season. So how I've been able to balance everything is when it's nice outside, I work outside. When it's crappy outside, I work inside and stuff. And it's nicer outside than it's not. Like, it's a really gorgeous time of year. But the other thing is besides knowing that you're not alone, take small steps. It's okay if things go bad. It's okay if you waste stuff. When I first started, I was like, okay, it kept repeating in my head, waste not, want not, waste not, want not, and stuff. And it becomes overwhelming because you're like, oh, I got to get every single last little use out of this chicken carcass. Otherwise, I'm just wasting it. And if I waste stuff, then, I'm not grateful. And if I'm not grateful, then things don't come to me. Like, that was where my mindset was. So I would, when we'd get bone-in chicken and stuff like that from the store to get like a whole chicken or whatever, when I'd cook it down, I would then like meticulously pick every single little teeny tiny scrap of meat off of it. So then that way, if that was what our family was relying on to eat, we had every little morsel that we could. I wouldn't allow myself to go, I can half-ass this. Like, I can literally just sort of be like, I did the best I could. Just quickly get it done, because of the fact that if you just quickly get it done, you can then feed the carcasses back to your chickens, and they will do that for you. They will pick every last little morsel off of it and turn that protein into an egg for you. Or it'll be protein that'll help grow them further and stuff. I always was so focused on everything has to be for human consumption right this instant, or go into the canner for another instant that we need it, that I didn't think about the fact that I can be sloppier. I can take my time more so of doing things that I really enjoy, instead of just aimlessly cutting up tomato after tomato after tomato after tomato for salsa and trying to scrape every last little bit of produce out of that tomato. I can literally just go bam, 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 cut off a big chunk of the stem and, waste some of the tomato, because it's not actually waste when it's going to the animals or when it's going to compost. It's not wasted, even though a part of your brain will tell you that it is. The other thing is, when you get to the point of overwhelm and your checklist is a mile long, which inevitably, if you're homesteading, it will be. Even if you're just gardening, it will be long what you have to do. Look at the weather forecast. Look and see what has to be done right now and what can wait. For me, I have a passion project that I'm going to work on once I'm done filming here. That's why I'm in such like really scuzzy attire. And that passion project is actually working on cultivating our spring that's over in this area and digging out like a little pond. So I'm going to get completely and utterly drenched in mud and water and just really gross and icky, which is going to be really fun because like my inner child loves doing stuff like that. Like, that is my jam. But when you have time to do multiple projects and stuff, and they're all outdoor projects, look at the weather forecast. Okay, like our garden needs weeded something fierce, but today is the warmest day over the next 5 days. I'm going to be sweating like crazy trying to dig out all of this muddy muck and playing with water, which is going to make me cold because spring water is very cold. Tomorrow it's also supposed to be overcast, which today it's more sunny. I don't do well in the sun. Tomorrow's supposed to be overcast and it's going to be in the low 70s. Today is in the upper 70s. Tomorrow would not be a very good day for me to play with a bunch of freezing cold spring water. Today would not be a very good day to stand in the full sun and weed the garden. So what I'm going to do is tomorrow I'm going to work on weeding the garden. Today I'm going to have fun, which is also another form of work, but for me it's going to be fun. That is one of the things that I do when I start getting overwhelmed, is I look at my list of things that all need done, and what does my heart actually want to do the most? Like, what is the thing that I'd be like, yeah, I'd rather go do this. That's what I do. When I start feeling like my back's up against the wall, I start having panic attacks in the middle of the night because I can't sleep, because I'm so stressed out, because I have so many things to do, and I'm so like, it's so much I have to do. That's when I stop and I go, what is it that I want to do? Because inevitably, if you're homesteading, there's some sort of outdoor living that you really enjoy doing, whether it be weeding the beds. Sometimes I really enjoy that. Like, I like the monotony of just pluck, 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 pluck of the grass seedlings coming up and, doing that sort of a thing. Other times, like today, I ain't got time for that. I just want to, like, grunt and bear and do, like, physical manual labor so my mind can float away and be free a million miles away from here, but my body can be present. That is something that has really helped me when I start getting overwhelmed, is to find some other project on my list that is stuff that it might be really low on the list for you. Like this whole spring thing, it kind of is pretty low on our list, but the ducks and geese have kind of made it become higher. But there's other things that I should be doing that are going to be more important, and the more adult version of me should probably be like, hey Lindsay, rein it in, like let's get these things done. But honestly, this is something on my list, and this is something that I want to do, and it'll fill my heart with a lot of joy and meaning to do this, and that makes it a higher priority. Because right now I'm to a point where I'm like, ain't nothing joyful about this life. It's all work, 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 no fun, no play, no nothing. And once you get to that point, it's really easy to start getting burnt out. Trust me, I've been there. I've done that. I've made it so that way I've pretty much walked off the ledge of homesteading and to never return. I've been in that spot virtually every year, to be quite honest. And for some reason, I just keep coming back. It might just be that taste of that first fried zucchini of the season, or the fried green tomatoes, or the smell of Tracy cutting up cucumbers in the kitchen, or digging up your first tater of the year and finding that it's like a massive one that's like this big, and you're like, oh my god, what do I do with that? There's these nuggets of joy that fill this whole lifestyle that make it so you go, yeah, I want to experience that again, because it's such a huge dopamine hit in your brain that it keeps you going. But in the times of feeling overwhelmed, it's very hard to remember those things. And this lifestyle can be very, very daunting, very overwhelming. But yeah, I think that's about my biggest pieces of advice, is find that thing that's going to bring the spark back when you feel like your entire flame has been extinguished. Because at some point, inevitably, it's going to feel that way. And for God's sakes, take baby steps. Don't go do all the things all at once, because that'll fast track you into feeling so overwhelmed and so beaten down that you're going to hate everything that you're doing. Unless if you have a lot of passion projects. That would probably help. But anyways, if you guys are enjoying this content, please give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends on social media, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to help us grow. We'd greatly appreciate it. Alright, thanks for watching. Have a good one, guys.